Freshmen coming into NCAA wrestling and having a big impact is not a surprise. It's become the norm over the last couple of years, and this year is no different. I'm going to give you the top 11 freshman performances we've seen so far this season, starting with number 11, Penn State's 125-pounder Luke Lillidahl. Now, Luke is someone who's maybe not quite as high for a couple reasons, but the main reason is a lack of opportunity. Luke has not faced any top 10. I don't even know if he's faced a top 15 wrestler at this point in his career. He hasn't missed any time. It's just the way the schedule has lined up for he and Penn State at 125. So what do we know? Well, he's 9-0. He's undefeated. He has a 55% bonus win percentage, which is pretty good for a freshman at a really tough weight like 125. He's got a win over Sheldon Seymour of Lehigh and Kurt McHenry, and those were it was a decision over Seymour of Lehigh. That's a solid showing, but not enough to show, hey, you're getting that top 5 category. He hasn't been able to wrestle those All-Americans, and as you'll see with the remaining list, a lot of these freshmen are coming in, they're able to beat All-Americans. Now, still super high on Luke Lillidahl. Do I think he can still win a national title? I still do. I still think the pedigree is there, but we just haven't seen enough to know for sure. Moving on to number 10, it's Simon Ruiz of Cornell. Now, he's been a little more under the radar. He had a really sneaky good gray shirt year last year. He's come into the lineup for the Big Red this year and done a really nice job. He's got wins over Danny Wask of Navy, really tough guy. Lenny Pinto, Nebraska. He beat Singleton of NC State. He's off to a really good start this year. Really tricky wrestler, a lot of ways to score. I've really enjoyed watching him, and I think he's someone who could push for low All-American status at 174. So keep your eye out for Ruiz of Cornell. He's doing a nice job. Coming in at number 9, Vince Robinson, NC State, another 25-pounder. And his resume is a little bit better than Luke Lillidahl's. And he's got some wins that Luke Lillidahl has, but he's been a little more dominant. He has a 71% bonus rate. He's beaten Dean Peterson, who's really tough. He's beaten Bridger Ricks, Diego Sotelo. He's beaten Gallagher. He's beaten Sheldon Seymour, and he beat Seymour soundly compared to Luke Lillidahl, who had more of a closer win. Now, we haven't seen Vince in a little bit. He missed some time after Cliff Keen Las Vegas, but there's little doubt that he's a guy with potential to place really, really high. But a little bit similar to Luke, we need to see him against those top 10, top 8 type of wrestlers before you say, yeah, for sure, we feel strongly this guy can win a national title. But still a great start to NC State's Vince Robinson. Number 8, Illinois' Braden Skoles. Love watching this guy wrestle. He's from Wisconsin, an AWA product, really, really good scrambler. Wrestles really aggressive, very forward, always trying to score, good positionally, really good in scrambles as you would expect. He's got a lot of really good wins. He's beaten Ruiz. He's beaten Cam Steed. He's beaten some other really tough guys. And can he push for that All-American status for Illinois? I'm not as sure yet. It's a tougher weight, but he's slowly been climbing the ranks. He's ranked number 12 right now, and I wouldn't be surprised as he progresses. He is undefeated. He's 9-0 on the year. Don't be surprised if he continues to climb those ranks for Illinois. And Illinois having a really strong season so far, and he's not the last Fighting Illini I'm going to talk about in this video. Number 7, Raphael Hippo of Virginia Tech, and a lot of people are talking about this guy because of his dynamic upper body. He's really, a guy that takes a lot of risks, especially from the neutral position. He's from Manaus, Brazil, moved to Virginia, and then Virginia Tech got him on their team, and he's been someone that we were looking forward to coming into this year, and he has absolutely delivered. If you watched the Oklahoma State-Virginia Tech duel, he had a big win over Caleb Fish, a lot of throws. He's really dangerous with an overhook, with an underhook. Don't wrestle this guy upper body. It's not going to go well. Caleb Fish is really good upper body, and Raphael had a huge, huge advantage there. He's got wins over Fish and Peyton Keller of Ohio. Keller's really tough. So keep your eye out for Raphael Hippo of Virginia Tech at 157. He's ranked number 13 right now. Number 6, this is the second Fighting Illini, the 11th ranked Cannon Webster of Illinois. He's wrestling at 149 this year, and he's off to a really good start. And this is another guy, head down, pit bull, a lot of aggression, a lot of leg attacks, a lot of ways to score. Great offense from Cannon Webster, and he's got some really nice wins already in his career. He's beaten Jesse Vasquez and Cross Wasilewski so far this year, but last year he probably had better wins. He beat Caleb Rachi and Dylan D'Amelio a year ago, and there was a lot of discussion, hey, should Illinois use him this year? He was obviously ready to go. They elected to redshirt him, and now Illinois has a really, really tough lineup, and Cannon Webster is a big part of it. He's currently ranked number 11, but only 8-1 on the year. His only loss is to Lachlan McNeil, who's been so tough this year. So I could see Cannon Webster continuing to climb the ranks. He could be another freshman All-American contender, no doubt about it. Number 5 is 5th ranked Gabe Arnold of Iowa. The 84-pounder actually had a more impressive list of wins a year ago when we saw him beat Feldkamp, an All-American from Iowa State. We saw him beat Whitlake from Oregon State, another All-American. He beat Lennox Wolak, who placed last year, among other really tough guys. And now the question is for Gabe, he hasn't got to face that many ranked wrestlers at this point, just the way, kind of like with Luke Lillidahl, sort of the way the schedule has broken down so far. Though he did miss the Iowa State match and couldn't wrestle in the Soldier Salute finals. But he's still undefeated on the year. He's only had one loss in his entire collegiate career, and that was to Dustin Plott, NCAA finals. So you feel like he's someone that can place high, and he's been able to maintain that number 5 ranking. And I still think Gabe Arnold has a great shot to place inside the top 5 at a very tough 184 pounds. So keep your eye out for Gabe Arnold. Now we're into the top 4. Our 4th ranked freshman so far this year, it's Tyler Knox of Stanford. He's ranked number 8 right now, and this guy has had an absolutely brutal first semester in terms of difficulty of schedule. We saw him beat Drake Ayala. We saw him beat Zeth Romney. Romney would go on to win CKLV and has been one of the bigger stories of the year. He beat Shawver and won Midlands. He beat Ryan Miller. He's got a lot of really nice wins. He's taken some losses, right? He lost to Bouzakis this year. He took another loss at Vegas to Frost, but he's been really, really good. So tricky in the scrambles. Great counter scorer, really good at getting to legs. He's tough from the top position. Very, very complete wrestler, and I think more than anything, he's very heady, super smart tactically in the matches. And look no further than his match against Dylan Shawver, where he looked like he was going to lose. Great timing of the whistle, good awareness when he was able to get the takedown and near fall late to take out a very tough Dylan Shawver, someone I think very highly of. So Tyler Knox, he got on our radar last year when he beat Nick Bouzakis at CKLV. They redshirted him last year, and then now he has been better this year, and he was pretty tough last year. So keep an eye out for Tyler Knox. I get blown up on Twitter every time I talk about 133 for not talking about Tyler Knox and saying he's a title contender. I'm not sure if he's a title contender yet, but I feel like he's an All-American contender and certainly someone that can push for that top 5. Definitely not sleeping on Tyler Knox. He's super tough. Next up, number 3, Knox's teammate, Lorenzo Norman of Stanford. Now, he made huge waves last year when, in his redshirt year, he wrestled at CKLV and he beat Shane Griffith. And so you would say, well, that was probably the high water mark for his career. Well, while that's the best win, he is far better this year compared to last year. You look at some of his results. He took a loss to Nick Contreras. He lost to Danny Wask last year. He has avenged those losses, and he honestly widened the gap. He won by a significant margin. So it's not like he lost close, he won close. He lost kind of convincingly, and he won very convincingly. He also gave Dean Hamady one of the toughest matches of his season. He beat All-American Nelson Brands. This he's the complete package. He's great at getting to legs. He's super hard to score on. He uses his length very well. Lorenzo Norman is quickly climbed the ranks. He's already number 5 in America, and I could see him continuing to climb a couple more rungs. Now, when you talk about Hamady, when you talk about O'Toole, talk about Haynes, I'm not sure he's getting into that category this year, but I'm telling you, he is one of the toughest guys to game plan for in the entire country. Couldn't be more impressed with what Stanford's doing and the job of these 2 freshmen, Knox and Norman. Really, really impressive stuff. Number 2, it's 4th ranked of Minnesota, Max McAnally at 184 pounds. And I've been hyping this guy up a lot on Twitter because not only is this guy winning all his matches, he's undefeated for his entire career, 22-0 with a 77% bonus rate. That's very, very high. And he's beaten a lot of really tough wrestlers along the way. Namely, Berge of South Dakota State, who was 4th last year at 184. He beat him in overtime. He's got wins over Saldano, Iserov, Hawks, Sean Harmon. These are tough guys. And generally, this would be a resume that would make you the number one freshman, but he's behind one because of the lack of All-American wins. He's got one. The guy ranked number one has two big, big wins. Now let's get down to it. Number one freshman so far, Penn State's Josh Barr. He's ranked number 4 in America, just like McAnally. But what I think separates him is he has two monster wins so far this year. He beat Michael Beard of Lehigh, multiple All-American, and he beat him by major decision. Beard is not a guy that loses often, and he's definitely not a guy that gets bonused often. He lost by major decision to Josh Barr, and then Barr followed it up with a win over Stephen Little of Little Rock. Little is really, really tough guy, hard guy to beat. Josh Barr's leg attacks are kind of always been the signature, the hallmark of what makes him great. He generates a lot of offense. But one thing, as you looked at him as a high school prospect coming into college, is could he be selective enough with his attacks? Because he would shoot and shoot and shoot, and that can get you in trouble, especially at the higher level of NCAA wrestling with a down block, reattacks. The baseline defense is so good. Well, Barr has cleaned up a lot of that. Not just cleaned it up, it is now an absolute weapon. When he shoots, he is scoring at a high clip. And not only is he scoring, he's scoring a lot of bonus points. He has an 89% bonus rate for his career. He was undefeated last year at 184. I think he was like something like 22-0 last year, something like that. Wrestled a lot, didn't lose, moves up to 197, and it's the same song. He continues to win and win dominantly, and he's someone who has emerged as, someone you're saying maybe he could get on the podium for Penn State. Now there's title contending talks beginning to swirl. So Josh Barr is the number one freshman, in my opinion, so far this year. Love watching these freshmen. They always add so much excitement. Who do you think is having a breakout freshman year? How would you order this? Who are some freshmen I left off the list? I want to hear from you.